trying to impeach Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas. Now get this, the Attorney General's job is to fight for justice for the citizens by investigating and prosecuting criminal activity. Now, of course, most politicians are corrupt, okay? I don't know this man's life, nor do I know what type of crimes he committed, if any. All I know is the only time your counterparts or colleagues are going to turn on you, especially if you are in politics, is if you step on their toes or threaten their authority. Now, the charges that he is involved in include bribery, corruption, and abusing his power. So, since the beginning of this year, Paxton's office has been investigating or began investigating a few interesting topics. Matter of fact, number one, he launched a probe or investigation into gain of function research and misrepresentations of the C-19 manufacturers. So basically, is your research correct or did you lie? Number two, he launched investigations into Big Pharma, Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, whether they misled the public in gain-of-function data or whether their trial data was manipulated with their fraudulent activity. Because as we know, there was a lot of fraudulent activity, and we want to know what's the information school to ensure your financial success. Because these pharmaceutical companies have had record-breaking financial success over the last few years from these jabs. There is this vested interest in the success of these products coupled with the side effects, right? And we know this. So these investigations that have been conducted would force these companies to turn over private documents to the public. There have also been investigations into hospitals for unlawfully performing gender transitioning surgeries, even after the governor has already said that these transitioning surgeries are simply out of whack and out of order. You should not be conducting any unlawful surgery, especially to children under the age of 18. This investigation was conducted in May of this year and is still ongoing for Texas Children's Hospital. Number four, he launched an investigation into the Biden administration over the illegal use of a telephone application to admit illegal immigrants into the United States. Basically, you can register on this phone app and we'll allow you to come into our country. And lastly, he was also investigating Biden's administration for the unlawful use of Title IX. This was because they were forcing transgender policies in schools by threatening this education fund. So as you can see, as of January of this year, the Attorney General's office has been pretty busy investigating some of the things that a lot of people need to know the answers to. I mean, the ones that don't already know the answers, you know. But this investigation into Ken Paxton has already passed the House and is now heading into the Senate. So we are going to have to see how this plays out. Ken has already said that this impeachment push was to help President Biden, and I don't put it past him. Next on our agenda is sustainability. What in the world are CEI, ESG, and DEI, and what does it have to do with the fossil fuels or lack thereof in America? Be aware of the incorporation of these terms in your workplace because they're trying it. Is your business, school, corporation woke enough to receive funding or a decent social credit score? Can your corporation receive corporate equity index? And how high is your equity index? Because the equity index is this scale based off of what you're willing to do to stay woke. What will you promote and what will you market in order to receive a credit score? That credit score is on a scale from 1 to 100. The higher your credit score is, the higher the funds you will receive. Now, how do they measure this index, this CEI? Well, you have to make sure that you are incorporating diversity, equity, inclusion, sustainability, social and environmental governance into your businesses. That's what the ESG and DEI stand for: diverse, equity and inclusion, and then environmental and social governance. This is the terms and the ideologies that basically set the tone for this whole corporate equity index on how you are going to be judged based off of how much you promote for their woke ideologies. This CEI gets awarded by the Human Rights Campaign, which is an organization that has been around for decades, but these concepts have not really been truly implemented up until around 2008, I think. This organization has received millions of dollars by George Soros and Planned Parenthood, amongst many other companies, and they award or subtract points for how well companies adhere to the rating criteria. And the side note, Kelly Robinson leads this organization and worked as a political organizer for Obama's 2008 political campaign, which is when majority of this stuff began to happen. HRC is basically infiltrating schools and corporations with their sales representatives, going to train the school facility and teachers to earn the school seal of excellence. They also have representatives that they send into the corporations to tell them what they need to make visible throughout the country, whether it's more feminism or more pushes for progressive terms. They have a lobbying arm in which they accept and give gifts to politicians to influence policy. Of course, it wouldn't be right if you couldn't receive money and give money to politicians. It would not be right if you didn't have a politician in your back pocket to be able to influence the policies and laws that are being made. This corporate standard is right now voluntary, but World Economic Forum basically has said that mandatory compliance is in the works. And when I talk about ESG, I mean environmental social governance. Environmental is everything that they've been talking about: the carbon fuel, carbon footprint, carbon neutral, controlling their food production, consumption, housing. Where do you live? Where do you want to live? Do your goals line up with our agenda? Which is why they are pursuing the farmers in the farmland, trying to get rid of the cattle and make you eat fake meat that comes out of a lab. And this social ensures that the companies embrace every woke agenda conceivable. And of course, governance is just ensuring that the corporations, individuals, and entities are putting this agenda in their boards and leadership so that the leadership team can do everything that they're told to achieve this goal that the World Economic is calling the Agenda 21, 2030, whatever the case may be. Now, the World Economic Forum calls the people who infiltrate this system and push the agendas into these corporations intrapreneurs. Not entrepreneurs, but intrapreneurs, because they infiltrate whatever corporation they go in with their ideologies. Much of this agenda is supposed to be implemented and planned through the CBDC, which is hooked to the FedNow system that they just rolled out a few days ago. What I hear when I see the words CEI and social credit system or corporate equity index is the social credit system that is now available in communist China. You know, it goes hand in hand. This is why they want the one world government, because they know that what works in one country for them will work in other countries. As long as they have the proper people in place with the authority, they think their agenda is going to be able to play out. These companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street are the country's top 3 investment firms, top shareholders of the most publicly traded companies like Nike and Kate Spade and Disney, Target. All of these people who went woke and went broke because they have all of these people in their boardrooms and in their leadership teams that are there to infiltrate their system and push all of these agendas upon the companies. Financial companies are no longer making decisions that are in the best interest of the client, but they're making decisions based on financial clout to push their social agenda. Think about it. These 3 corporations have their hand in most big firms and companies around the United States. And they have it for a reason, because if you can control most of the shares, if you can control most of the money for that company, then that company has to do what you tell them to do, or else they're going to lose their money and in turn lose their business. The staff that is now managing this movement worked within the Obama administration and also donated to people like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders, of all people. So you have a CEI, this index, based on how much you promote the DEI and ESG. This is why they try to confuse us with all of these acronyms and different terms, because they know that the average American is not going to go online to research what this stuff means. So hopefully I'm able to break this down for you guys to understand that basically, because they have all of the money at the top, they are infiltrating every corporation and placing their people in places of power in order to influence the company's marketing schemes and what the company sells based off of whatever woke agenda is being pushed in the White House. They are building momentum towards aligning international human rights norms to ensure that the voices of these stakeholders are elevated in their leadership teams, including the board of directors. These ideas are ludicrous. There is a reason they have been infiltrating the system. They want complete control, although they won't ever get it. No wonder there are bills being passed and banned to get away from this horrendous ideology. And of course, Biden is okay with these policies because back in April, he banned a bill that would block ESG investing in America. So now the states have to take it upon themselves to make sure that their citizens and their corporations, their businesses are good and safe. Which is why we have a few bills that have been passed in Texas recently and some sitting in the committees that are being considered. Bills like SB 833 that are going to stop insurers from considering these ESG criteria when it comes to setting rates and making sure that insurance companies don't hinder anybody else in the energy sector. We have bills like the Anti-ESG investment law that Abbott has been advocating for, telling state agencies and universities to stop considering diversity in hiring practices. And SB 13, which prohibits state contracts and investments with companies that boycott energy companies. Because we know that Texas leads energy, jobs, and financial. We can't afford to have anyone come here to make investments to get us away from energy. Right now, we have about 10 companies and 348 investment foundations that will be barred from doing business with the state because they boycott energy companies, boycotting fossil fuel because of this ESG wave, environmental sustainability wave. And lastly, SB 17, which has a lot of people up in arms, which will ban DEI offices and programs in public universities. Basically, these offices make it mandatory for diversity training and restricts hiring departments from asking diversity statements about the campus. I remember back a few months ago, I had an interview, and in this interview, it was online, and there was a few questions that they were asking me. And to be quite honest, I felt a little uncomfortable. They were asking me questions like, how did I contribute to the community's advocacy for racism, and how was I a steward in racism and helping to affect the community? Things like that that just rubbed me the wrong way, because why does it matter what I think about racism, or why does it matter how I've added to the community or helped the community when it comes to diverse and inclusion? Like, these companies now are so woke to where they're ignorant. Offices like this only force faculty and students to adopt these political beliefs and prioritize social justice over merit and achievement. It's ineffective and politically charged. Texas also has banned BlackRock investments. Remember, one of the 3 top firms that owns a lot of the companies here in the U.S.? Texas has banned them from doing investments with companies here. And also, there are more bills, like I said, sitting in committees now that needs to be heard because of these issues. We have to make sure that if federal government doesn't want to do their job, of course, like I've said prior to this video, states have to step in to make sure that their citizens are safe when it comes to all of these acronyms and ideologies and technical terms that they are going to try to force on you to try to manipulate you. You have to make sure that you stay away from those, and also make sure that you are standing up for your rights, stand up for what you believe in. Do not allow anyone to force you to do something that you know is not right to do just based off of power or money, because right is right and wrong is wrong. We have to stand on our morals. We have to stand on our principles and not allow anyone to have any authority over us. Hopefully this video was informative and gave you knowledge about the things that's going on, especially that's coming from the World Economic Forum with their infiltration of the corporations and businesses at the present moment. I hope that you share this information with someone else. Please like and subscribe. Thank you guys for watching. Have a blessed day.